Good evening, members of the Council. I will now lead the Council in the International Prayer for Peace. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our heart, our world, our universe. And can I now invite Councillor David Stanley to lead us in saying the Lord's Prayer. Father, in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Please be seated. Apologies for absence. I've received apologies from Councillors Ken Finch, Ed Lawrence and Steve Waltho. Are there any other apologies for absence?
None noted, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, declaration of interests. Any prior declarations of interest made under the Members' Code of Conduct have been published online. Interests previously disclosed by members at meetings are recorded in the minutes in the White Book, which is also published online. All these interests will be taken as read. They are deemed as repeated at this council meeting. I now invite members to declare any additional interests. Thank you, Councillor Phipps. I'll take that one back when I'm over there. Agenda item 3, the minutes. I move that the minutes of the meetings held on the 28th of February and the 7th of March 2022 be confirmed as correct records and signed. Does the Council agree? Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcements. The International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersex Discrimination and Transphobia will take place on Tuesday the 17th of May. Dudley will be marking this day with a civic event on Coronation Gardens at 11:30 a.m. The rainbow flag will be flown at the Council House and Dudley Castle at midday, and everyone is welcome to join us. The Freedom of the Borough Garden Party will take place on the afternoon of the 17th of May at Himley Hall between 2 and 5 p.m. Freedom of the Borough will be presented to the NHS, Care Services, Adult Social Care, Children's Services, Voluntary Services, Public Health, Bereavement Services, or Children's Services, I've already said that. Invites have been sent to all councillors. And I'd like to thank everybody who attended the Mayor's Ball last Friday, and thank you for your support. I think we had a fantastic night, and as soon as we've totted up the donations, I will let everybody know. As this is the last meeting of the Council before the municipal elections, Councillors Ray Burston, Colin Elcock, Alan Finch, Beck Gentle, Zafar Islam, Joe Roberts and Steve Waltho will not be seeking re-election on the 5th of May. And I would like to place on record my appreciation of the dedicated public service given by those members and express my sincere best wishes for the future. And it has been an absolute joy and privilege to serve with you all, and I know how hard you've worked and how hard, I know that many of you will continue to work. So I now invite any other member who wishes to pay tribute to the retiring members. Councillor Harley.
Madam Mayor, I'll take them in the order that they're printed on the sheet. Reference Councillor Alan Finch. We go back a long way. I think we joined the council on the same year, 2004. And the one day Alan said to me when he became mayor, he said, we've not done too bad for two lads from the Priory, one group leader and one a mayor, and you're absolutely right. Another issue that we shared, Madam Mayor, was my ex-mother-in-law. Fortunately, I could get in the car and drive away when it was getting too much, the ear bashings. Unfortunately, Councillor Finch was her ward councillor, so couldn't do quite the same tactics as I could. But I wish him all the best in his retirement. As I do with Councillor Zafar Islam, I've always found him to be, Madam Mayor, one of the good guys in the chamber, someone with a big booming voice when he gets up to speak in the chamber, and I'll miss him on a personal level. Councillor Steve Walthour was not here in the chamber tonight, but I think politics aside, a lot of us, as regard to politics, won't be remembered in 10, 15 years' time, whatever we do. And Steve won't be remembered for his politics, but he'll be remembered for the awful amount of money he's raised for charity. Single-handedly raised thousands upon thousands for a lot of people that have been the beneficiary of that in this borough, and I think that will be remembered far longer than any of the politics that the 72 of us can spout off about in this chamber. Beck Gentle and Joe Roberts only serving one term, and I think that's unfortunate because both have shown great promise, and I hope that one day maybe we see them in a council chamber somewhere at some point in the future. Is to Councillor Ray Burston. Ray's a friend, unfortunately fallen foul of the group's disciplinary procedures, but what I will say about Councillor Burston is he's still out there slugging his guts out, trying to get Conservative candidates re-elected or elected for the first time in May, and for that I actually take my hat off to you and salute you. You put your principles, even though they were at odds with the mainstream party, you put those principles first and foremost, and it's cost you your seat on the council, and I have to give you respect for that. Even though I think you were wrong, I do respect you sticking to your principles. And finally, Madam Mayor, Councillor Colin Alcock, again, another individual who fell foul of the group rules, and that's unfortunate, because I think it would have been nice for Colin to have left this chamber tonight in his final full council meeting as a Conservative member, but alas, it wasn't to be. But I do wish Colin all the best in his retirement from this chamber, and I hope he finds other avenues other than politics to enjoy himself, such as his baking and other hobbies. Wish them all the very best, Madam Mayor. It's not easy being a local councillor. It has a real big impact on all our lives, our private lives, our careers if we're still of working age, and I think, me for one, I appreciate the efforts of all those retiring members, where tonight will be their final full council meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Caulfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'd like to acknowledge our retiring councillors, 3 of which are past mayors, and I'll just read them out how I've wrote them down, and not in specific order. Councillor Colin Elcock, Councillor Ray Burston, Councillor Becca Gentle, Joe Roberts, Councillor Alan Finch, and Councillor Steve Walthour and Councillor Zafar Islam. Madam Mayor, it's a great honour to be elected to represent local communities, and I'm sure their residents are grateful for all the hard work that they've done over those years of service. And if I can speak of 2 of the retiring councillors that I know well, the first one is Councillor Steve Walthour. I mean, I've known Councillor Steve Walthour now for a good many years, and he can only be described as a machine when it comes down to fundraising. What Steve's achieved over the years, he's certainly a steep benchmark for anyone to emulate. And I personally, I've climbed Ben Nevis with him now a few times over the years, and I must say, nothing slows him down. And even earlier this year, after getting over major surgery, he got straight back at it and climbed the 3 peaks, so I think that really speaks volumes of what Steve's made of. And last but certainly not least is Councillor Alan Finch, Madam Mayor. Alan's been a lifelong friend and a mentor to me personally. We've been through thick and thin over the years, and although we have different political views and we're part of different political parties, that hasn't changed our close bond and friendship that we've always had. And I think this proves that politics doesn't always have to come between friendship. And Alan and I are close now, and I really appreciate his friendship for that. Thank you, brother. So thank you for that, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor. I'll start with Councillor Roberts. I mean, the only discussion I've had with Councillor Roberts has been about my car. And I was hoping that he'd be here tonight so I could give him a tour of Dudley one last time, but obviously I'll have to find alternative mechanisms of doing that. Councillor Burston, obviously haven't agreed with him on a number of things, but I admire his length of service. I know that he was the first citizen of the borough and he conducted that role with dignity. I wish him well in his retirement. My advice wouldn't be write any more novels, but spend it in a different way going forward. And Councillor Colin Elcock served with him on development control. Really appreciated his knowledge, particularly around planning, law and planning guidance. Regularly heard about every story that happened in his wine store. So wish him well and hopefully, long and happy retirement. Moving on, Councillor Zafar Islam stood in my ward of Netherton when I was 2 years old, has been a member of the Labour Party for over 50 years. I first learnt of Councillor Islam not when I was 2 and looking to support him, but more when he was in his role as a chair and executive member of the Racial Equality Council of Dudley, and his community work and his work of bringing faiths together and community groups together has benefited this borough significantly. I know lots of us won't know the work that he has done, but certainly my first interaction with him was when I'd experienced some unfortunate events and he was the chair of the Racial Equality Council. I want to thank him for what he just did before he joined the council, but also for his 18 years of service here. Alan Finch, who I consider a friend. There are a number of people you usually ring in your group for advice and consult and just test whether an idea and how that will be seen by the group. And Alan Finch is one of those people that I would quite often ring and say, Alan, how do you think, what's the appetite for this? And we've had a number of discussions over the years in which he's advised me, and he's advised me exceptionally well, and I appreciate his friendship, and I hope that that will continue well beyond politics. One of the things I do want to thank him for very, very publicly is rooting out the BNP party from Dudley. They dominated this chamber with their nonsense, and he was the man who rooted them out. So I will be forever thankful for that vermin that was being spouted across in this council chamber. He was mayor, a phenomenal amount of money that he raised, record-breaking at one time, and I wish him a long and happy retirement. Sad that Councillor Walto isn't able to join us, but another one that started off in Wordsley, his politics then, was elected shortly after that into St Thomas's. Lifelong, as other members have mentioned, lifelong charity campaigner. When he was ill, he was thinking of others and raising money for others, and I know that his heart will be in charity long before it's left this chamber in politics as well. Again, a mayor that served with distinction and one of those members that has been able to work across political parties and beyond politics. And then finally, I'd like to thank Councillor Beck-Gentle. I understand her reasons for retirement. This chamber can take over your life, it can take over your business, and it can make you invest your whole life, and before you know it, it's time to retire. Councillor Beck-Gentle has made the sound decision of going back to her family and her business for a period of time. I will be encouraging her to return on the basis that I found her an exceptional cabinet member when I appointed her, hard-working, but her politics for me has been about kind and caring politics. Never got a bad word to say about people. Some of us can find reasons not to like people. Councillor Beck-Gentle will always show you the reasons why this person should be given a chance. I found her warmth. I find the fact that when she comes into the room, she can immediately engage everybody and is willing to change the mind of any leader or cabinet member on this. her wider family, which is this chamber. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Zada. Councillor Richard Boddy.
Yeah, I could speak on them all, but I just want to speak on two. Alan, I've known Alan for 18 years now, and Alan's always been one to put the residents of his ward first. Not one to spend ages in writing out long speeches to say it's your fault, we did this, you did that. He was one who only spoke up for the residents of his ward. Steve Waltho. Christmas 2019, just before Christmas, I set out to be the first idiot to run, walk, crawl 100 miles non-stop around Homer Hill Park in aid of Homer Hill Park, but also to highlight older men's health. I had stage 4 arthritis. Arthritis absolutely sucks, it does. And I knew I was having an operation in the January. That would have been it then after that. So I had one slot. It hurt. It hurt like hell. And I reached 80 miles. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. And there was Steve. He'd come along at 6 o'clock in the dark. And not only did he stay with me during my worst hours, he kept me going. He stayed with me for 11 whole miles, which I just found quite unbelievable. But it was what he did inspired me, and it changed the way I thought about life and what I thought I could do. So it was all down to him. So I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to commend the work of all retiring members. I can only appreciate the work you've done for the communities, and I'm sure residents do too. But I would like to give particular thanks to my ward colleague, Councillor Islam, who served Briley Hill for several years, has outstanding knowledge of the area, but has built very strong and personable relationships with our residents. And it's quite a big loss. But in my early years of being a councillor, I appreciate all the help that I received, all the knowledge that I've gained, and I wish I had the time to learn more. But thank you very much, and I wish you a good retirement. You can finally put your feet up and get some rest. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think when you come third, fourth, then most of the things you want to say have already been said. But I think situations like these are sometimes also sad, as many friends and colleagues who've served their communities on this council for many years decide to step down for one reason or another. But I do want to say a few words about my friend and colleague, Councillor Steve Waltho. Steve, as has been said, has served St Thomas's for 16 years and has been a true community councillor. Together we set up and are involved with many community voluntary groups and have brought to fruition many initiatives in the area. As well as the council duties, and you've heard his charity work is something to be desired for. As many of you will know, Steve was diagnosed with cancer and underwent surgery last year. He's making good recovery, as we know. However, he decided to make that, needed to make more time for himself, for his wife Jane, and on the family. It was a difficult decision for him to make from doing what he loves most, and that is helping people. At one point, we did manage to persuade him to continue. However, as the months passed and due to health circumstances, it was for him time to call it a day. So on behalf of the people of St Thomas's ward, we wish him all the best in his retirement, as I'm sure he will be as ever busy with his charity work. He doesn't make it, Madam Mayor, easy for himself by the challenges he sets himself, such as the recent 20 or 21 Peaks walk. My colleague, Councillor Shanila Mughal, and I, we thought we will join him for one of the peaks. However, when we found out that he was walking 5 or 6 peaks a day, we kept quiet on that one. So, and Councillor Steve Walter, as we know, has a long list of achievements to his name, and I'm sure he could write a book on it, and maybe he might do that. I also want to take this opportunity to say a few words about my friend, I might say my brother and my friend, Councillor Islam. He's one of a number of people who encouraged me into politics many years ago. And he has been active in community life long before I was even born. I have always seen him working tirelessly with different communities, not only in Dudley but across other areas, tackling racism, discrimination, fighting for equality and fairness through organisations, as has been mentioned, such as the Racial Equality Council and the Law Centre, and I wish him well. Sad also to see my friend Councillor Alan Finch and Rebecca Gentle deciding to retire. Alan is a great character in a good way and personality who I will miss. And Councillor Gentle, again, an excellent councillor, and I had an opportunity to work with her on Community Wealth Building Commission, and that was to bring together key anchor institutions in the area to support the local economy. And obviously we never got to implement it fully, but I'm sure one day we will restart that piece of work, and I wish them both well. And I also want to say my good wishes to colleagues across the chamber who are also taking the decision to step down. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, Steve Wolf has asked me to read something out for him, if that's okay. Okay. Madam Mayor, members of the Council, my sincere apologies for the absence this evening at what would have been my last Council meeting. I know that the meeting would have been emotionally difficult for me after 24 years of privileged service, but with the opportunity of a half-term week with grandkids in a wonderful location in Pembrokeshire that Jane's family have frequented for decades was too good to refuse, particularly as her mother is now in very poor health and it's the only place she finds comfortable outside her own home. My reasons for standing down are well known amongst close colleagues. It's one of great sadness to me that, in my opinion, local politics has gone backwards over those 24 years in terms of both community respect and elected member influence, coupled with drastically reduced budgets leading to a complete loss of community support and youth services. I'll leave it at that, but as many of you are aware, my recent battle with prostate cancer was the tipping point, and I was personally saddened at the loss of a thorough, decent colleague in David Vickers. I knew that I made the right choice and decision to value the remainder of my life spending more time doing bucket lists with my beloved Jane, family and friends. I will never forget the huge privilege of representing Worsley Ward for 8 years and latterly St Thomas's for 16 years. My sincere thanks to my wonderful ward colleagues, Shok and Shanila. This is where he goes on, but I'm the best, but it's okay. And my colleagues in the Labour group and my friends across the wider council. I will never forget the honour of being mayor of a great borough in a wonderful year, meeting some thoroughly wonderful people. I know Jane will agree that the experience will live with us forever, and we now enjoy numerous lasting friendships resulting from that year. Finally, I can't see a time when I'm ready for my slippers and cocoa, even though he does really like cocoa. I'll still be involved in supporting these less fortunate via charity work till I'm no longer available. I still hope to be involved in the past Mayor's Group and Honours nomination team, rewarding those many true community heroes in our borough, as well as a number of other practical community organisations. Jane and I still volunteer weekly at the Black Country Food Bank, which gives us a great reward of knowing, helping those less fortunate, since we know how fortunate we are. I wish the world was more equal. Two of my local heroes were the legendary Jeff Hill and Bert Bissell. I hope to keep the annual Ben Nevis Peace pilgrimage alive as long as I'm able to. It did say that's my final 3 minutes, but it's not 3 minutes, at my full council, and truly wish you the very best for the future. Ta-ra for now, and thank you. Madam Mayor, while I'm there, can I also place my best wishes to all my colleagues that are seeking re-election, wishing them all the best for the future. Alan Fitch, when I first became a councillor, you made me feel welcome, and without a fail, you never stop me from smiling. You're a funny guy. Beck, I've always found you to be a voice of reason and someone I can call a friend. Thank you. Zaffa, not only was he my dad's trusted friend, he always listened to me and given me, valuable advice. Finally, special thanks to Steve also, who I will dearly miss. I think I'll miss. He's always been on the end of the phone, listened to my rants, and he's a really close friend who I will miss dearly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I picked up the diary this morning from 1989 to 1990. And yes, David, you were there. To my surprise, you were there, David. And several members who are with us tonight were already here on the council when I was elected in 1990. And the youngest of them was Ray Burston. And I was quite impressed with Ray in that he was way in front of me and very keen and representing part of Hales Owen. And the impact of going through the diary this morning was how much history has come through this room and how many of us have been part of it. And in mentioning people who've contributed a whole lifetime to public service and a political idea and entity, I would like to show my appreciation in thanking our members who have committed a huge lifetime to representing the people, their communities, and for the good of the borough. Alan Finch. Alan and I have always got on well, and I shall miss him as a character, a lovely man. Good luck, mate. Enjoy your time, and thank you for all your efforts. Steve Wolf, though, once again, sadly Steve isn't with us, and I'm very saddened by his health problems, but I do wish him all the best, and I accept and respect his contribution. Although we were in a different party, it was irrelevant, and we always got on well as individuals. Ray Burston. In the diary, it says 1988. You were elected. Is that the first one, Ray, or? Oh, the second. Oh, okay, yes. And when you think about it, an awful lot of people in this room were not even born. So, Ray, thank you for all your efforts. Thank you for your time. And I remember a spectacular by-election or election you just missed in Quarry Bank. And you worked hard and missed it by 29 when you were out in the wind sort of business for a few years. But once again, Ray, thank you for the commitment of a lifetime. Thank you, Ray. I come to my friend Colin Alcock. Colin is there, elected to this chamber in 1988, but he'd also had several years on the West Midlands County Council in Birmingham, representing the area. And once again, we have a touch with history with Colin, in that things that have become legend or part of our history, Colin was there and witnessed him himself. And when Enoch Powell gave the famous speech of the River of Blood in Birmingham County Council, in Birmingham Council, Colin witnessed that speech on the night from Enoch Powell, which has gone down in legend now, or infamy, one or the two. And another thing is, very few people in this chamber can find themselves standing at the bar when the Prime Minister walks up, takes out money from her handbag and buys him a pint at the bar. That happened to Colin Helcock. It's a touch of history that Maggie Thatcher bought one of our members a pint at the bar. Fantastic in a way. And I would like to thank all our retiring councillors now for the dedication, the political lifestyle that takes over your life, and for the enthusiasm you have shown in representing and serving the people of the borough. On that, I thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Take your time, Owen.
I'll have to. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to pay tribute to my friend and colleague, Councillor Alan Finch, who is retiring from the council. Alan has served the people of Castle and Priory Ward since 2004 with pride as someone who was born and brought up in that area. He is well known and well loved by his constituents. I was honoured to serve as Alan's deputy in his mayoral year 2013-14. He was a very popular mayor who has made people laugh, and he has made them laugh. My personal thanks to both him and his wife Heather for their help and support over the past 18 years. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Hang on a bit, Madam Mayor. Can I pay for that?
Can you sit here?
Councillor Shasley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Or dare I say, Adrian, in my worst Rocky impression. I want to say thank you to all the retiring councillors, but a special thank you to Councillor Steve Walto. Steve has served his council well for 24 years and has raised hundreds and thousands of pounds for various charities. He supports many organisations in the borough, including the Black Country Food Bank. He is a chairman of the Salim Foundation and founder of the Bert Bissell Memorial Society, and has continued the legacy of the late great Bert Bissell. The annual climb to Ben Nevis has raised thousands for various charities, and this would never have been possible if it wasn't for Steve. Madam Mayor, if I may, I have been sent a brief message to read by Steve's wife, Jane Walto. And I quote, "At this moment, Steve will be watching this, what will be his last full council, from the most important place to him, which is with family. Our hearts almost burst with love and pride for this amazing human being. Steve has served for 24 years, always on duty and always striving to make things better for everyone else. He is a doer, not a talker, and has never let politics get in the way of making things better for those in his ward and anyone else who may need his help. Even when he's indulging in his passion for climbing hills, that's just another opportunity to raise some funds to help others, selfless to the last. An incredible role model and a hard act to follow for whoever takes his place as councillor. I know he will be missed, and so I will finish by saying, to Steve, we, your family, love you more than words can express, but will you please shut that computer off now and come get in the pool?" That's Jane saying that, not me, by the way. Thank you, Steve, and to all the retiring councillors, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can only speak to those people that I know, and they're the 4 people on our side. And I think that what I'd say is that each of them has shown so much kindness through the times that I've known them. I mean, Beck, her last name is Gentle, but actually that describes her, doesn't it? Except when she wants to get the bit between her teeth and go after things. I don't know Beck very well. I was chair of a committee that she was on, and we did some good work together. I think, though, she's done a very brave thing. She's gone away from something which really she needed to get away from at the right time, by the sounds of things. And I think too many of us carry on, don't we, sometimes, and harm ourselves by doing that, and harm our relationships in our families. It's very, very difficult, isn't it? I mean, I took with Dave Tyler and his missus, and his missus says to Lynn, she says, does he ever tell you where he's going to be? And what day you're going to be there, and what time you're going to be there? And Lynn said, no. And she said, well, Dave's the same. I thought, thank goodness for this, it's not just me. But, you know, that's the impact it has on it, doesn't it, Beck? And you have a real good time. As Kata said, you might come back. You might have more common sense, but you might come back. Alan. Oh, dear me. I mean, Alan is an absolute mine of information when I first got on this council. Of all the things I didn't know anything about this council, you know, housing. He knew more about that than anybody I knew. The officers, he knew more about them. Although I must say, I never ever used the information that he gave me at the time. You know, but he's a great bloke. You know, and the only thing is, he hides his light under a bushel, doesn't he? He doesn't get up as often as his brother does. You know, although you can see him going, for God's sake, Ken, don't get up, mate. You know, but Alan, you're going to be really missed by so many people, particularly your constituents. I had Simon Darby sitting next to me that first year. My big pink badge, gays and lesbians against the Nazis. You know, you stopped them, mate. And I think that you should be so proud of what you did in your ward. Stevie Waltho. What more can be said about Steve? Apart from, when he's had a few, he done half giggle. And nobody's mentioned that tonight, have they? You know, I remember sitting before one election in an Indian curry house down in Lye. We'd had a few. He wobbled a bit as he got up. But we had such a laugh that night, you know. He's a kind, wonderful man. You know, we must value people like that in our society, haven't we? Who could have done more? How many people are alive now because he's what he's done? Or how many people have been able to live out part of their lives that would otherwise have been so difficult without what he'd done? So, you know, Steve will have a great retirement. He loves his missus. His missus loves him. He's a great family bloke, and he can at last spend as much time as he possibly can in doing that dancing thing he does. I've never understood that. But if we see him on Strictly, I wouldn't be surprised, you know. Zaffa. Zaffa is a man I would call a friend. I've known Zaffa for what? 20 years, maybe a bit more than that. He was my councillor in Bridal for a while. And I was on the part of our Labour Party that selected Zaffa. And that night, there were some of us saying, this is Bridal. This is 20-odd years ago. And we're going to get a guy called Zafar Islam to stand for us in the Labour Party locally. And we had a laugh about it, you know. But he got through. And he won. And that was an incredible win in that particular area. But it came because of his humility. Because of the fact that he is a beautiful man. He has a wondrous way with people. He believes passionately in what he does. We've heard about the REC. One of the great disappointments with Zaf was the fact that the mosque was not built up in Dudley, the new mosque. And we must get round to doing that at some stage or another. It really must happen. But, you know, for me, Zaf has been a brilliant colleague, a brilliant friend. When public health first came over to this council, he used some of his skills to try and get that to work. It was a damned hard bit of work, that was. And he did his best for it. So finally, Zaf, have a lovely time with your family, mate. Please keep in touch, which I know you will. And enjoy your retirement as you should now. You know, and keep doing the things that we so desperately need you to do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Alan Finch has got a ridiculous sense of humour. I think many of us know that through his support of West Bromwich Albion. And I would like to say of many things that he doesn't do is spend too long watching that mediocre Championship club. But I've known Alan for many, many years. I've caused division in the ranks. Alan is an individual that leaders of both these groups will relate to, because the greatest single attribute of Alan Finch, in addition to his sense of humour, is his honesty. As leader of this council, I needed regular support of what is going on within the groups. Alan's now staring at my backside, and he often used to tell me when I was talking out of my backside, because you would get unstinting honesty from him. It's been mentioned by two members this evening, but it needs mentioning a third time. We had dark days in the early 2000s when in this council chamber we had a fascist. And it was the work of Alan Finch and the other councillors that drove the BNP away from Dudley because of their community work. Alan, I see you as a friend, a close confidant. You have been an unstinting supporter, not just of me personally, but of this group and of this party. You deserve your happy retirement with your glass of whiskey at 9 o'clock when you leave here this evening, and I'm relatively convinced that that £10 was meant for me. Councillor Zafar Islam. I've known Zafar for many, many years, a principled individual. Often those principles have actually differed from the route that we have often had to take. But I respect that man of principle greatly. Something that many people won't know is that my mum is a member of his ward. And my mum, every time I go and visit, will ask when the little man is coming around to say hello. Throughout our political differences over recent years, he has never failed to talk to my mum and to ask me how my mum is going. And Zafar, I thank you for that. And I thank you for your unstinting principles. Steve Waltho, we've mentioned many times this evening in this council chamber. I'm looking over to Shaz Salim because it's just one example that sums up Steve Waltho. It's a councillor, a community champion who always sought to build bridges and not walls, putting political differences aside for the common good. Shaz read out a message for Jane, and I hope that Jane will forgive me treading on her toes that often when, as mayor, she did the dance up at the venue up in Dudley, raising tens of thousands of pounds for charity. Steve Waltho will live in each and every one of us for generations to come, because he has impacted on each and every one of us. Beck Gentle. Many people opposite won't recognise the impact that Beck Gentle has had on this side of the House. When Cadder became leader, the first piece of advice I gave to Cadder was try and convince Beck to get into that cabinet, and Cadder noticed those skills. An exceptional individual of principle, somebody who has worked tirelessly in the background in this group as part of our campaign. Beck, you will be greatly missed, and thank you so much for your support. For Joe, for Ray Burson, I've read The Black Country Gigolo, I would stick to politics, and to Colin Elcock, I wish you all the very best in the future. The Badgers will sleep easy this evening in Wollaston.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think... I know, I'm not going to try and top that, not at all. I do agree, though, about the Badgers, though. Grand job. But they're still with us in Cowsley. Just like glue, them Badgers. I'd just like to say thank you to all those councillors that are retiring. Thank you for your hard work. It is hard work, and I enjoy your retirement. Go back to your families, because we can't do this job without the support of our families, and we miss so much. I've got to speak on my friends on this side, to Alan and to Zaf and to Steve. Thanks for their support. We've worked together over years. It's been a pleasure, and I'll miss you all. And the final one, I've got to speak for Beck. I know it's only been 4 years, and she came once the council knew. It was a change for me to have another woman to work with, having had Mel and George for so many years. But Beck, you've been a real support, and Cosley will miss you. You've worked hard for Cosley, and they won't forget. Well, I'll make sure they won't forget. They won't forget, and I'm sure they'll welcome you back whenever you're ready to come back. But I understand your reasons, and the one thing I hope now, we met as colleagues 4 years ago. I hope we part now as friends and colleagues. It's been a real pleasure, and you've been a real help, especially in the last fortnight while Len and I have been laid up with COVID. She's done the running about for us, so really thank you. Just like to say to everyone, enjoy your retirement, all of you. You deserve it. Miss you all, and you will always miss friends. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to wish all of those standing down the very best of luck for the future, but I will focus my comments on my Labour colleagues. Firstly, Steve. I've known Steve since I worked for a certain MP in Stourbridge in the early 2000s. Steve was a great friend and support to me then, and has supported me through some difficult times in the council. That support is appreciated. Alan, of course, is a very interesting character. So often it is impossible to know if he is taking the mick. Some of the tales that he comes up with are so bizarre that he probably could have had an alternative career in fiction writing. Alan is also, though, a good listener and compassionate friend. And I won't forget those times that he has cheered me up when I have been down. I haven't known Beck for so long, but in her time in this group, she has always been friendly and supportive, and often makes me laugh. She has made a great contribution to the group in a short time. And finally, Zaffa. Zaf, as I know him, has always been a forceful member of the group, often kept me on my toes as chair, but he has always provided an ear in troubled times, and I'm grateful for that. I will miss all of my colleagues, and I wish you all well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish all the retiring councillors a happy retirement and thank them for the service they've given. But I would just quickly like to mention Ray Burston, as Ray has been a good colleague in our ward for many years, although at times we may have disagreed on a few issues. He's been a good ward worker, represented our residents with diligence. His work in the ward has been outstanding, and he is still working hard for our housing group. His long service and contribution will be missed. Thank you, Ray.
I'd like to thank the fellow councillors for the kind words, and also echo the sentiments that have been expressed about my fellow retirees tonight. Also like to thank the officers of the council for the support they've given me over the years, and of course for the work that they do generally to make sure this council runs efficiently, including, but by no means limited to, of course, our democratic services officers, as personified by our very own Steve Griffith here tonight. So thank you very much for all the support that you've given me over the years. It's been a privilege to serve as a councillor in 2 wards over the years. And it's also been a privilege this last year, as always, to watch the new intake of councillors in this chamber from both sides. You know, that you've made some tremendous contributions. I know you work hard. I know you're enthusiastic. I know that because I see your social media posts. But one thing I would say to you, of my experience of being a councillor for 26 years, is that never be so busy as a councillor that you lose sight of the fact that your family are important to you too, as has already been mentioned by Councillor Zada. So again, never be so busy campaigning for potholes to be filled and zebra crossings to be laid that you forget that they deserve your time too. That's very important to you. It's very important to them. I suppose, if I'm honest, I'm not exactly enamoured at the way I'm leaving this council. However, it is what it is. But on that point, Madam Mayor, I do have some good news to bring to you. Because back in December, when we were all terrified by Omicron and it looked like we were going to have COVID passports for this, that and the other, I predicted that with this time, by now, April, we would indeed have COVID passports to be visiting pubs and shops and all sorts of things. And up on my social media post, popped Mike Wood MP and says, no, we won't. Want to buy a bet on it? Like a fool, I took him up on it, although I did say at the time that this was one bet that I desperately didn't want to win. So therefore, Madam Mayor, I'm pleased to announce that in lieu of my non-attendance at your charity ball on Friday, and also acknowledgement that, thank God, Mike Wood MP won his bet, there's a cheque there for £50 for your charity. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Ray, thank you very much indeed. Councillor Laura Taylor-Charles, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it nice and short and brief. There have been a lot of lovely things said tonight about all of the retiring councillors, and there really isn't a bad thing to say. You know, I wish everyone all the best. I just want to pay a special recognition to Councillor Burston and Councillor Elcock, who is obviously my ward councillor. The support that you have given, not only me, but the group throughout the years, does not go unnoticed. And I personally really appreciate all the support that you've given me over the years, and all the knowledge that I've absorbed from you has really helped me in my journey. And I hope that that's not going to go away as well. So, you know, our paths will definitely continue to cross. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also pay tribute to all of the retiring councillors and wish them all the very best for the future. Each and every one of them have served their communities exceptionally well. It is, like already said, not an easy work, not an easy task, but which all have delivered exceptionally well. I also want to pay a particular tribute to 4 of the members from this side, starting from Zafar Islam. Zafar has been the instrumental behind me what I am today in this chamber. He believed that I could become a councillor and persuaded me to join the Labour Party and also to become a councillor. Without his guidance and support, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I wish to pay a tribute and wish to say thank you to Zafar for what he did to help me to get into this chamber. Steve Waltho, again, we all heard the exceptional work that he does, and he does with a smile. He's so pleased to see and welcome each and every member, and he's supported me throughout my early days when I needed the support as much as I did. Councillor Beck Gentle. We've only known Beck Gentle for a short while, but again, she's made an exceptional, remarkable contribution towards the Labour group, and I want to thank her for the work that she done and the way that she supported me and the rest of the colleagues. Finally, Councillor Alan Finch. There's been quite a lot said about Alan Finch, and nothing is untrue. He is an exceptional character, a character without, you know, I would have not been very successful in the cabinet role. He advised and guided me throughout and supported me with the officers. He told me the tricks that I needed to learn, which I didn't know before. I was naive when I joined the council. And I thank him for all the support, the guidance that he gave me throughout. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I do pay tribute to all of those councillors who aren't seeking re-election. Thank you very much for all the work that you've put in for this council. As fellow members, I think we can all respect that, and I think the wider public as well can respect everything that you've done. I want to mention a couple of members in particular. Firstly, Councillor Colin Alcock. So Colin was one of the members that gave me a lot of encouragement and support when I was first elected as one of 2 teenage councillors that were in the 2015 intake. And both of us have been really grateful for all those words of encouragement and support you gave us from our very start on the council right through still to today as well. So thank you very much for that. And it's an incredibly good story about the pint with Mrs Thatcher, it sounds like. I really hope that somebody can recount my story of doing the Macarena with Boris Johnson when I retire, but there we go. So, up next, Councillor Burston. Ray, again, you gave me a hell of a lot of support and encouragement from my first few days on the council right through to now. You've probably the only councillor that has delivered on the scale that you've done. You've done so much for the Conservative Party over so many years, and I have to put my thanks on record for that one. And I've counted that one time at a Conservative Party dinner in Halesowen, where I think I was chairman of the association at that point. And I was sat there watching the raffle get drawn out. And I can't remember if she won it or not, but I do remember Esther McVeigh walking away with a copy of the Black Country Gigolo. Which there we are. So I can imagine that was an interesting read for us. So thank you very much, Ray. And then finally, Councillor Steve Although is not here. Steve was the first mayor when I was first elected to the council. And I learned a lot from Steve in his mayoral year and afterwards as well. If there is a model for what a councillor should be, Steve also is certainly the mould for that model. And I have to thank him for everything he's done for everybody on the council and in his own community as well. And I look forward to climbing many more mountains with him in the future. Fully expect him to be leading that for many years to come. So thank you very much to all the members, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think some great tributes tonight have been paid to all the retiring councillors. I also wish them a happy retirement and all the very best for the future, all the work that they've done within this council. I'll start off with Steve Waltho. Steve, a true gentleman and a friend who has worked very hard with his fundraising and an endless list of the things he's been involved with. I can go on all evening with that. He was very helpful to me when I was the deputy mayor, and together we enjoyed those years, and right up till now I'm in touch with him, and it's just fantastic working with him. Madam Mayor, Zafar Islam, when I first came onto the council, Zafar made me very welcome, and was always there for my development within the council, and I'll thank him for that. And Zafar's, like everyone has said here on our side, that he's worked very hard within the community with his racial equality stuff and everything else that in the community that he's been involved with. So, Alan Finch, again, a great councillor. Thank you, Alan, for all the good times we've had together. I will not forget one thing, though, that there was a community cricket match in Lai where you were put into bat, and instead of the ball going elsewhere, it was right on my knee. So, and those painful days will never be forgotten. Beck, just with us for a short while, but Beck, thank you so much for everything you've done. I've learned so much of you for social media stuff and all that. But good luck with your family commitments and so on. Colin, I've known for many years. Thanks, and I'm sure I'll see you around locally. Ray, thank you for everything, all the committee works that we've been doing over the years, and known you as well. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I think it would be quite remiss of myself if I didn't stand up tonight and congratulate and thank personally for the service that has been given by the members that are retiring on this occasion. Councillor Kettle made a comment when he got out an old diary, and I shouted, "I bet you'll find me in there," and he said, "Yes, you were." Councillor Burston joined me 12 months after, and we sat more or less where he's sitting now, and we had former Councillor Jerry Greenwood sat beside of you, who was your mentor at the time, and looked after you very, very well. We've always got on very well together, and we still get on very well with the Centro days and the bus days as they are today, and you're still going ahead and getting the timetables out there. Not always accurate, Madam Mayor, but they get out there. Councillor Finch, this is the second time I've thanked you. I stood up and thanked you over the other side a few weeks ago for all the work you've done, especially on the one committee, and that's referring to you-know-what part of the council, and the work you did with the experience you came here with, so that you came with the experience of knowing what you're talking about. Councillor Gentle, very little do I know about you. I've met you a few occasions, but believe it or not, I've learnt an awful lot from your colleague in front. Another colleague from the independent state of Coasley. My first days of finding out about Coasley and the Urban District Council was through a former councillor known as J.T. Wilson. J.T. Wilson learnt me everything I know about Coasley. Whether it was the right thing he was telling me or not, I do not know. But I've got very good thoughts of Coasley and its history. Councillor Alcock. We walked through that door at the same time in 1988 with former Councillor Jackson, if you remember, and another former Mayor, John Woodall. We all came in together in that particular year. Councillor Roberts, I got to know quite well, and all of a sudden he seems to disappear. I didn't have much conversation with him. But I've got to give the lad his due. When COVID started, he rang me regularly to ask how I was, and I thought that was absolutely wonderful for the young man to do that. Councillor Islam, we go back quite a bit, don't we? The Tesco days, you remember down in the Tesco days? We had, my nephew was working there, and he used to pop in, and he was behind the counter, he used to run out and how are you and all the rest of it. And I thank you for your service. I hope I haven't missed anything, Madam Mayor, but I'd personally like to thank each and every one of you for all the work that you've done for this authority. When you come to look at a room like this, basically be full of friends. And I look at this room, this council chamber, probably different to most people in here. Those doors there, when you come through those doors, you're coming to do a job. We'll call one another whatever you like in here, but when we get back through those doors, we part as friends. Very, very few of us have any animosity. We work together as a family unit because it's all about one thing, and that's the people out there, the community, for what we represent. We represent them. They look forward to us to do the right thing for them. So therefore, when it comes to party politics, as far as I'm concerned, my friends all the way around this room, not on this side, but everywhere. I've built up quite a lot of friendships, Madam Mayor, in this room over a good many years. Some are no longer with us. But those that are leaving us on this occasion, I do, from the bottom of my heart, thank each and every one of them for their contribution they have made to the life of this borough. I hope I haven't missed anyone out. To be perfectly truthful, I stand here with gratitude and thanks. And I thank you on behalf of the community out there for the work you've done. Really do, from the bottom of my heart, as I say that. It's been an honour and a privilege to know each and every one of you. I hope in some way that we'll keep in touch. I'm sure something's going to happen in the near future, as I see at least a few of you coming back. So that's the thing that is important. The importantness of working together. And that's working together for the community out there that put us in this place to do our job. And finally, my final words are, please remember, members of the council, when you go out of there, we go out there as friends. When you come in here, you come to do a job. And yet everyone accepts that. So
Thank you, Councillor Stanley. Councillor Peter Drake.
Hello, thanks. I specifically want to talk about Beck Gentle, my colleague in Cowsley. She's only served 4 years, but it's been very tough and very strange 4 years for Beck and for everybody else, coming straight into this from the real world and having COVID and all the other problems we've had. I think she's done a magnificent job. She's been there through thick and thin, Cowsley, with all the problems we have, all the issues. She's got a family and a job to worry about, but she always finds time for the local area, for the people, to speak to them, to email them, to chase up casework. I've seen some of the casework, and she's constantly chasing it up again and again, and again and again and again and again with the officers. As you all know, it takes forever sometimes to get a response. Beck doesn't stop. Beck is carried on all the way throughout. And we're going to miss you, Beck, in Cowsley. It's going to be very weird. You know, you want the normal people, a normal person to talk to about day-to-day stuff, not just politics. And I know I'm going to miss you. Sue's going to miss you, definitely, and Cowsley is going to miss you. It's going to be very weird without you, Beck. So, good luck what you do next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it quick. I think really what it is, we have got a position in this place, and it is difficult sometimes. So when we do take this position on, I have every single respect, whatever side of the chamber. We're all doing our best for the community. So obviously I want to say thank you to everyone and give my best wishes to everyone that's retiring. Firstly, I would like to say to Zaffa, my mum's favourite as well. If she was here today, she would be saying thank you very much and well done. Steve, I've got to say this. Back in 2015 or 2014, when I first came to the chambers, I wasn't. People would remember I was not very, very good at this sort of thing. So I met Steve Waldo on Black Country Radio, first slot I ever went on. And he, well, I've got to say it, he was probably the most sincere, friendliest guy you could meet. He could have destroyed me. On that day, he could have destroyed me. In public, on the radio, he chose mercy. And for that, he chose mercy. And for that, I really do thank him, yeah. Councillor Gentle, very best wishes. Councillor Finch, the same. Very, very best wishes. On this side of the chamber, and Independence now, but Ray, you have got a fantastic career behind you. You have got everything to be proud of. Well done. Joe was a great guy, started off great. Young guy, got different commitments now, so he has my very best wishes and respects. Colin has been a fantastic friend over the years. In my early days, you really did support me, along with Councillor Vickers and Andrea. Thank you. So, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Bradley. And as Councillor Ali said earlier on, it's very sad, really, when we say goodbye to colleagues. Sometimes an enforced rest can be put on someone, and nobody knows that better than myself. And sometimes it's what's needed when you need to step back and you think about your family and you think about the people who support you. And I thank each and every one of you for all your service over the years. And Alan, I ain't going to get stuck in that lift anymore with you. I'll tell you all about it after. So I'd like you all to be upstanding and give everybody a round of applause. Thank you. Now we move on to the reports and recommendations. Agenda item 5, capital programme monitoring. I call upon the leader.
Madam Mayor, members of the Council, I move that the recommendations of the Cabinet be approved and adopted.
Linda? Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak? Call on the leader to reply. Is that all agreed? That is carried. The appointment of Director of Housing and Communities. I call upon the leader.
Council. I move that the recommendation of the Appointments Committee is approved and adopted.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Leader, do you wish to reply? No, thank you, Madam Mayor. All agreed? That is carried. Agenda item 5, Annual Overview and Scrutiny Report 2021-22. I call upon Councillor Angus Lees.
I move that the Council accept the Annual Overview and Scrutiny Report for 2021 and 2022.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak? Councillor Adams, Angus Lees, do you wish to respond?
No.
That is carried. Moving on to agenda item 7, notices of motion. Following consultation with the group leaders, consideration of the notices of motion on the agenda will be deferred until the next ordinary meeting of the Council. Agenda item 8, questions from members under Council Procedure Rule 11. Firstly, can I remind the Council that the purpose of this session is for members to ask questions. Following consultation with the group leaders, there will be a 30-minute time limit on the question time session at this particular meeting. The time limit on all individual contributions during this session will be 2 minutes. All questions will be dealt with individually, one at a time. If time permits, members may indicate to ask another question during the session. When I call upon members to ask a supplementary question, this must relate to the original question or the answer given. Right, that's it. Okay. Councillor David Stanley.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I've got problems with my button. I must have put my hand on it. It was an accident.
Councillor Shaz Salim.
Many of my residents in Kingswinford North and Warleaf will rightly be wanting updates on the Black Country Plan, especially about the 2 greenbelt sites that were initially included for possible development, Hull Beach and the Triangle. Will the Cabinet member update the Council on the next stages of the Black Country Plan?
Was it the leader that you'd asked? Cabinet member, sorry, the Cabinet member.
There we go. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question. I can completely understand that it's incredibly important to local residents in Kingswinford, particularly with regard to those 2 sites. As you know, the public consultation has been published online, so people can inspect the responses that have been put forward by all parties. I've seen those responses from that area, and clearly there is a huge weight of public opinion that is not in favour of those 2 sites to be considered for future development. From this point onwards, the period whereby we have between the end of the public consultation and the start of the next phase, which essentially is the final plan for the borough, it's time to gather important evidence on all of those sites that have initially been thought could be a location for development, and part of that is indeed transport modelling for that particular area in Kingswinford. There's been comments by many in the chamber, and I've made my comments very clear that at the moment, based on the evidence I'm seeing, I would find it difficult to understand how that area could cope with such a huge influx of new houses. So the information is being gathered, and that's really important now. Later on in the summer, there will be a next phase where the plan will be refined and it will be put forward again to the Cabinet and the Council, at which point it will be the final version of what sites will be in there, and we'll certainly be making sure we are scrutinising any proposals for the Triangle and Hull Beach in great detail, so you can reassure your residents of that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Please. Given the importance of the issue, it isn't surprising to see lots of comments, including from some councillors suggesting the council should just rule out development on these sites now. without waiting for the additional evidence as the Cabinet member referenced. Why are the Council not taking this approach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the supplementary question. This is a very complex issue, so I'm afraid I have to go into technical detail on the answer. But what some members aren't remembering, or they are deliberately forgetting, is that we aren't necessarily entirely the masters of our own destiny here. Anything that we do on the Black Country Plan has to be scrutinised by the Planning Inspectorate, and they will look very, very black and white basis on whether we have followed the law or not, whether we have done what legally we have to do in order to make our plan what's called sound in their eyes. Now, we'll have to go down to Bristol probably, or no, it probably will be locally, but it will be the Bristol Planning Inspectorate that sits there and listens to representations from us, and they will go through line by line the plan, and also they'll be listening to representations from quite expensive lawyers, from people who own land that isn't included in the plan or is included in the plan, and they will decide whether or not our plan is legally sound and can be adopted. Now, we all know that if we get this process wrong, then you bet the landowners, the developers, will be wanting to try and make sure their sites go back in the plan. Now, I am going to that process with the absolute intention of having the strongest possible defence for all of our precious greenbelt sites. And by following this process of gathering the evidence, we will be able to do that. What I won't do is jeopardise the entire process by just offhand declaring that all of these sites will be out. They will all be... Because if I did that, I would be putting them in even more danger. So I don't accept that you can just wave your hand and make the issue go away. We've got to do it right, and I would ask your residents just to support us whilst we gather that evidence, because I'm confident that we'll be able to put forward the strong...
Okay. Councillor Daniel Bevan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was pleased to see Dudley Council being represented on the international stage. This administration is consistently making it clear that we are serious about regeneration of our borough, and our residents of our wards are starting to feel this. It's no surprise to see those on the opposite benches, however, taking a narrow-minded, short-term view on this. It's clear that they don't understand the principle speculate to accumulate. Although they clearly haven't spoken with their colleagues in Wolverhampton, or maybe they have and were simply exercising some selective hearing once again, I think it's clear that Dudley were open and transparent about this event. I imagine the scepticism and overall lack of support from the Red Table will somewhat diminish when they get a sniff of a project in their own wards. I imagine we may even see some of the projects on their literature. And my word, that literature at the moment. One line that sticks in my mind is, I'm only doing my job and looking out for local people. If only that were true. If only that were true and our colleagues opposite would support our ambition. Alas, it is not the case. Madam Mayor, this... Of course, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, this administration is ambitious and effective, so I'd like to ask the Leader to update the Chamber on the importance of events like this for our borough.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Bevan for the question. These events are about putting Dudley in that shop window that hopefully brings in the investment that's badly needed for this borough, because we are ambitious. All 72 of us, I believe, should want this borough to prosper and to have new investment coming in, but we can't do it on our own, so we need that private investment to come forward. Now, Madam Mayor, we have taken trips to MIPIN in previous years. In fact, the most recent one, the last one, prior to this, was by the Labour group when they had control in 2019. 21 or 23 grand spent. 50 leads, apparently, they came back with. 3 years later, Nothing. Nothing. Less than a month later, after coming back from this trip, where we did it right, we didn't go as a contingent to the West Midlands, we went as a standalone Dudley to make Dudley noticed with our own stand and our own keynote event that attracted over 70 leads, Madam Mayor. Now, I met with one contingent of those leads last Monday in my office with the Chief Exec and our key regeneration officers. The Chief Exec met today with another one of those leads. And tomorrow, Madam Mayor, we meet with a third. And we still have 14 more visits to come. And there were no visits from the leads when Labour visited Mippin. And as I've said in this chamber many times, Madam Mayor, all they do is carp from the sidelines, delay. We can't delay. This borough needs that investment that Mippin brings. And I'm proud of the fact that we put Dudley in that international shop window. We could...
Oh, thank you, Councillor Harley. Councillor Bevan, do you want to ask a supplementary question?
Madam Mayor, it's an exciting time in my ward of Netherton, Woodside and St Andrews. We're seeing more investment now than many of my constituents can remember. Funding for new changing rooms in Woodside Park, funding for off-road parking for up to 25 vehicles in Greaves Road, Netherton, to help alleviate parking issues suffered by local residents for over 30 years. The new sheltered housing scheme on the Old Arley and Compton Court site, which is welcomed and I can see is progressing at pace. And we have brand new CCTV, which I was proud to have campaigned for before I was elected. And we have managed to secure far more than what we were hoping for, with not one, but 3 cameras protecting our high street. However, at a time when there is so much to be celebrated in the area, I've been shocked to see those on the opposite benches trying to mislead our residents by spreading what isn't even stretching the truth, but a complete fabrication with regards to the future of the Netherton Arts Centre. Madam Mayor, the Netherton Arts Centre is a valued asset for our community, a beautiful Victorian building which is loved by many, and the desperate scaremongering being done by the Labour group is all around shameful. Can the Cabinet Member for Commercial, Councillor Sean Kesey, correct this misinformation being shared and continue to work with me and our community to explore more options to inject life into this centre? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sean Kesey.
Councillor Caulfield. I think if I remember back to the last full council meeting, I did actually state my disappointment in the attitude of the 2 Labour councillors for Netherton and Woodside in the fact that they'd misrepresented so badly the work that the commercial team are doing to put together a case to give Netherton Arts Centre a positive and long-term future. But it has to be done properly. We can't just throw money at it, as Councillor Ali wanted to do in his, well, let's call it an amendment to the budget, shall we? I will quite happily say to you, Councillor Caulfield, and to the residents of Netherton and Woodside, that it was me, as Conservative Cabinet Member with responsibility for commercial services, that instructed our officers to come to Netherton Arts Centre and to start to put together a plan to get that venue open for the benefit not just of Netherton, but for the other surrounding ward. Sorry, makes me angry to see my word being doubted and almost being called a liar by certain Netherton and Woodside councillors by claiming that my plan and our plan is to close Netherton Arts Centre. That is wrong. We are working as hard as we can to reopen that centre, to put it back where it should be as a central asset to Netherton and Woodside and to Dudley. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Caulfield.
Councillor Caulfield, did you wish to ask Councillor Rebecca Collins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to see our communities coming back to life after 2 years of the pandemic. However, we are seeing that COVID has left its scars in our communities. Loneliness and isolation has been compounded and is now worse than ever. And I believe it is our responsibility as a council to make sure that our residents have opportunities to get and be involved. I've been pleased to see that my concerns were acted on, and my local community centre has had the essential boiler replacement that it so desperately needed. It means we can continue important community groups such as Tuesday Club, karate, dance, and of course, our Friday night bingo, which I know are important to those who use them. I would like to ask the Leader of the Council if he would join me in thanking the officers in Corporate Landlord Services for the work that they put in to ensure that Brockmore Community Centre will now be open and to existing groups and hopefully welcoming additional user groups in the local community. But I will ask him to go a bit further. Recently, rumours have begun to circulate about the green space next to the community centre, and I'm seeking reassurance from the Leader of the Council that this green space will not be touched. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Collins. On the last point first, if it wasn't in the first draft, it's certainly not going to be added now. I think we got enough stick for what was in the first part of the Black Country Plan, so we can put those rumours to bed. I really want to pay tribute to the two Conservative ward councillors in Brockmore and Pensnet. This is a tough role at times, and we've already paid tribute to retiring members on how tough it can be, on our families who are not there at every meeting that we are at. These two councillors have kept that centre going, and without their involvement after the last committee member packed up or retired, they've literally taken on almost every role at that centre due to a lack of volunteers. I'm hoping that because of their good work, and the centre can now reopen thanks to their lobbying, not just myself but other council officers too, to get that boiler repaired, that centre can now reopen. And it sounds like it could be, once again, a thriving community centre, but hopefully not run by ward councillors, hopefully by some of the many volunteers that I believe are now coming forward. But I do pay tribute to the two ward members. Without them, Madam Mayor, that centre would have closed. Thank you.
Councillor Collins, do you wish to ask a supplementary? Right, thank you. Councillor Sean Kesey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question to the Leader. Will the Leader join me in congratulating the Friends of All Saints Graveyard in Sedgley, who on Friday came runner-up in the Pride of Dudley Awards after just 1 year of being in existence? And will he acknowledge the importance of community groups to parts of our borough, and make sure, moving forward, if this group remains in control, that officers and the council work with community groups and do everything we possibly can to ensure that they can work to the benefit of their communities? Thank you.
On one of the last points, I think we will still be in control in my council, Kesey. Talking of graveyards, there's only one political graveyard here, and that's over there. I can pay tribute to that particular group, and it was very pleasing to see them get runner-up in the mayoral awards on Friday evening at the Copthorne. Having been badgered with many, many emails going back almost 12 months now by this friends group, they were really, really serious about doing something to a churchyard in Sedgley, which was overgrown, an absolute mess and an eyesore, and they've done it through their sheer graft and hard work and their lobbying of elected members in Sedgley, but also myself and council officers and Councillor Karen Shakespeare too, as the cabinet member, ultimately responsible for helping them. So yeah, I'll take my hat off to them. We need more community groups like this because councils can't do it all, and with groups like this and more of them coming forward across our great borough, we can make Dudley a place where we can be proud to live and work. So no, hats off to that community group there. And the award Friday was well received and well deserved, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kesey, do you wish to ask a supplementary?
Just quickly to say, Madam Mayor, thanks to yourself as well for welcoming to your ceremony on Friday. They really, really enjoyed it and wanted me to pass on their thanks to you.
Colin Alcock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, this is a question I've had from several constituents within my ward. Have asked me to investigate their problem, which involves a relative, who we will call the client, who is on the autistic spectrum. I am reliably informed that there may be up to 2,000 plus clients on this autistic spectrum alone within the Dudley Metropolitan Borough Council. And so I pose this question. When a client is on a block contract with an agency approved by social services, which should provide a carer, but the carer does not arrive, what are the financial implications? Is the block contract paid for in advance, or is it in arrears? Are social services informed that the paid-for service has not been delivered? Or are social services not informed that the paid-for service has not been delivered? I want to know who are the agencies audited by, when and how often, and who is the information reported to? And Madam Mayor, this is a bit longer question. I want to put some background information. Would it be okay to extend this by a couple of minutes, please? Well, background information. The background information to this question is important because under DMBC, there may be up to 25,000 clients with some form of disability on social services, many of whom may be missing a carer service that has been paid for on a block contract with any specified agency by social services. A client is assessed by a competent social worker who, with their team leader,
I think this is a question that perhaps maybe needed a written response. Councillor Barlow.
Councillor O'Connor, can you email me? This is the first I've heard myself and... Yeah, okay, I'll forward this on to the appropriate director. Yeah, but it would have been helpful if you could have emailed rather than done this through the council chamber, but I'll make sure you get a response. No, that's fine. Thank you, Councillor O'Connor.
You can ask a supplementary question, but I think if the Cabinet member who has only just seen sight of this needs to investigate and give you a written response, I'm not quite sure whether that supplementary would be beneficial.
Madam Mayor, is that this was brought to me late last week. I worked over the weekend to formulate the question. I would like a written answer on it. I realise I won't be at the council next time to receive any answer, but I would like to receive a written answer so that I can take an answer back to the clients who have asked me to raise the question in the first place. Thank you.
Barlow, you'll do that. That's fine. Thank you. Councillor Paul Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I would like to ask a question to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, and in regards to the Send Improvement Programme. As most of us know, I hope all of us know, we've recently had an Ofsted visit where in 2019 it was identified that we had 14 areas that needed special attention with a written statement of actions. After the recent review from Ofsted, 8 of those 14 were deemed sufficient. Now, I take that, I'm an optimist, and I take that as a good move because it's only a couple of years and 8 of the 14 were deemed sufficient. This is from great work of our officers and strong and experienced leadership. I believe that this will give us a strong base to work from, ongoing, and the only way is up, they will say. Question. On that, could I ask the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People if there is any update to offer regards the positive Ofsted visit, that I can only deem as a positive Ofsted visit, and the ongoing statement of actions, what work's going on? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Trey.
Of course. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Councillor Bradley. You're right, in 4 days after I was appointed to this role, Councillor Ridney and Madam Mayor myself sat in 3 to 5 St James's listening to the 14-point written statement of action that Dudley had, and we were told that Dudley had low or no aspirations for our SEND children. I think as we walked out of that room, I that became the mantra that this was not going to be said about Dudley again. I have to pay tribute to Councillor Ridney as well, that although things can be political, she's given me good challenge, good scrutiny through this, but we have worked together to make sure that our children in this borough, and particularly our children who are most vulnerable, have the best support they possibly can. You're right in the fact that 8 of the written statements of action are now significantly improved. The other 6 areas, we have done a plan for Ofsted for the Department for Education, and they have scrutinised that and said that this is a good plan going forward. As anybody who's worked in any form of children's services will know, there is always work to be done, but I have to pay thanks to the staff in children's services who through the last 3 years have worked phenomenally hard, night and day, through COVID to make sure that we have rebuilt the SEND team, that the service is now fit for purpose, that we are building SEND bases within our schools and supporting children in their mainstream environment. If you go and play, these kids can go and play football and go to swimming classes and all the rest with their mates, why shouldn't they go to the same school as all their mates? Because our aspiration is, as they then prepare for adulthood, which is one of our written statements of action we're improving on, with our connections team, we want to see these young people, where possible, then working and living within our communities and having the skills to do that. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Bradley. Thank you.
Buttrey, Councillor Bradley, did you want to ask a supplementary question? Right, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Madam Mayor, at last. You know, there's a lot of pressure on my residents at the moment. Council tax going up, national insurance going up. It's astonishing increases in gas, electricity, fuel, etc., food. Although there was quite a bit of investment in Stevens Park, one of the things that didn't happen that the residents really wanted was to improve the play area. Quite simple. The equipment needs painting and it needs a new surface. And I asked for this, and the response was that painting of play equipment was removed as a budget cut, and the surface needs replacing and will be done should funding ever become available. It's a simple request, but the funding's never become available. Now, you know what, I understand that sometimes we need to invest in speculative events in the hope that connections are made and bring future benefits. But I just wonder, can you tell my residents exactly why a few £1,000s can't be spent on their play area in Stevens Park, but Dudley Council thinks it's all right to take 9 people on a speculative foreign business meeting and spend £100,000 doing it? Councillor Harley, sorry, I forgot to stop right. Thank you.
Just get this clear. Who was that particular question directed to? Right, okay. Could I, just before the leader comes in, we had an issue the same as you in our park, and us volunteers did it. Councillor Harley.
And that just shows the difference between real community councillors who roll the sleeves up, get stuck in, and councillors who leave it to a full council meeting to whinge and whine about a lack of investment in their parks and play areas. Roll your sleeves up and do it yourself, like other members on this side have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor, do you wish to ask a supplementary?
Thanks for your advice there, and I'll remind all the residents who have been busy on Saltwells Nature Reserve and volunteering there, volunteering in Victoria Road Cemetery, and getting on with it. Do you know what? So I haven't asked my question yet. If the leader could also confirm that you've committed another £100,000 to do it again next year.
Madam Mayor, I'll repeat it. Unless you are in that shop window, we will always play second fiddle to Coventry, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, and there's not a hint of criticism at Labour councils who went to MIPIN. And what did? They were invisible with their presence. They were invisible with their presence, Madam Mayor. No stand, so nobody knows you're there. You're part of that West Midlands contingent. Who will gobble up that funding in the West Midlands? Birmingham, Coventry. Dudley was there. Dudley was there, Madam Mayor, with its own stand, and people actually came and said, you know what, we can actually come and ask the decision makers a question. Leader, Chief Executive, Head of Planning and Regeneration, Those are the people who make the decisions, not like some councils, Madam Mayor, like, for instance, Bristol, who we went and had a chat to, and we asked a question, and they didn't know, Madam Mayor. Why? They didn't even work for Bristol. They were agency workers paid to man the stand. We could see what Labour would do. They'd send members over there with nothing to showcase, nothing to sell. Well, we sold Dudley really well. And 70 leads, Madam Mayor. 3 meetings already planned within weeks of coming back, with record investment into this borough. And for the likes of Councillor Lowe, smiling from ear to ear, some of that investment could well be for your ward, for Lye. Let's hope on May the 5th that there's 2 Tory councillors in Lye helping us to get that funding, because clear, looking at the Labour councillors in those areas, they're not interested. They'd rather play silly political games. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Harley. Councillor Adam Aston, please.
My question is for the Leader of the Council. Over recent weeks, I've been contacted by a number of constituents regarding the recent trip to the Property Development Conference. I won't attempt to do it in French, because it never sounds good in a Dudley accent, widely known as MIPIM on the Côte d'Azur. Many of them are troubled by the reported cost to this council of £100,000. I now believe the true cost to be over £200,000, as the council has committed to attending for 2 years. I understand that for local government, the majority of the costs of having a stand at the conference are generally covered by private sector partners that form part of their delegations. So, without the bluster, I wonder if Councillor Harley can confirm if any private sponsorship was sought and or obtained. If not, why not? And therefore, if £200,000 of taxpayers' money has been used, how many contracts have actually been signed on the dotted line or will imminently be signed as a result of the Council's trip? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Adam. I must inform Council, though, that the 30 minutes allowed for questions has now expired. Any members indicating to ask a question can either send it in writing or raise the question at the next appropriate meeting. Moving on, agenda item 9, urgent business. There is no urgent business for consideration at this meeting. Agenda item 10, resolution to exclude the public and press. I move that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the remaining item of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information under paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972 relating to the financial or business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. Is that seconded? Thank you very much. All agreed. That is carried. Members of the Council, there will now be a short 2-minute break while officers stop the public webcast of the proceedings. And we need the public gallery clearing, please.
Faye, could you just close the doors as well, please?
So long, farewell, love, we